It is time for PFL breakdown video. We've got the lightweights, we've got the light heavyweights coming on. I'm Andy, that's Jim. Let's get right into it. We've been telling y'all PFL is profitable. We're coming off a 2-0 sweep off of last week. We also had a cross-sport parlay with a parlay piece there, so call it 3-0. We got a 5% best bet coming up just a little bit later here. But let's break down some of the early fights, and then we'll talk about the standing. We got Zurcher versus Ruiz. Battle of the undefeateds, Jim. Can you feel the electricity in the air?
Oh, yeah. What a curtain jerker, right? Gee, I wonder who's supposed to win this.
So, Julian Ruiz, I give him credit. He's got a lot of amateur fights here. Mm-hmm. I do not know much about Fierce Challenger Series 9. I will be the first to admit. So I got Zurcher in this one. What do you think?
He's the name they're going to push. This is one of PFL's grown talents. And the kid's good, man. He's all around good. And another guy who grew up in MMA, not a single discipline, can really do it all. Great striking, good wrestling defensively and offensively. This is a showcase fight. I mean, we've seen PFL do this. They put these guys out, and we got to get them an opponent. Well, who do we look for? We look for a 4-0, never fought a guy with a winning record fighter.
Yeah.
Where do you think this is going to go here? I like Zurcher in this spot. I think it's another builder fight. I'm hoping next year they throw him into the tournament bracket because I think he'll be ready by then. PFL's real smart with that. There's a lot of these guys that they want to groom and then get him into the tournament, homegrown talent. So smart strategy by them.
They do a good job. UFC's really bungled a few of these younger guys, so I do like what PFL is doing. So Zurcher's probably the play here, but just be careful with these earlier fights. Sometimes it can be a little wonky. So Andrew said Sanchez and Karl Albrektsson. What do we think here? A couple guys with 14 wins, couple good. I have no opinion on this fight. I really don't know too much about these other guys. This fight doesn't really interest me. What do you like in this one?
I was before lines came out, I was hoping that you'd be able to snag some plus money on Karl, and we didn't get that, so I am most certainly not going to lay minus 218 at the moment on Karl. It could look like value, hindsight being 2020. Sanchez really hasn't been like his old self recently. He is UFC experienced, though, going against somebody who's not. So this is a real toss-up, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people are going to get hurt on this fight either way. Because if you're dog chasing, that's trouble. And laying 218, like you said, one of these early fights is no tournament incentive, by the way. This is just get a fight in. So I'm all about skipping this one. If I was going to play it anyway, I mean, we could look at the under because we've seen Andrew Sanchez fade and get finished. So when totals come out, I'll be interested to see what this total's lined at and what's the price. If it's playable, I can find my way into that.
It is kind of wild, some of these names that Andrew Sanchez has fought. This guy fought Marvin Vettori. Yeah. Went the distance. I mean, it didn't go well against Bruno Silva and Yagshimuradov, but pretty interesting. He takes the long break and then gets a couple wins in Eagle and PFL. So, but you're right. Cardio, man, hard to believe that it's better at this point.
No, I doubt.
So, yeah. Anthony Romero and Sergio Cossio. I think that's how you say his name. I do not know about Sergio Cossio. I know the Lux Fight League, and I see beat Jesse Roberts and Bellator. I don't know that much about him, so this bet is probably kind of a stay away. But I do see Anthony Romero as a big favorite. So my guess is this is another one that PFL expects big things from Anthony Romero moving forward, maybe.
They've been trying to get Romero in the cage ever since he's fought OSP. Last fight got canceled. He was going to be an absolute layup in that spot. Beat the line huge in that spot, and then he ended up falling through on the fight. I do think he's the one that's going to push. He's taken a lot of steam already. Now it's getting to the point where I don't know if I want to play 325 on Romero. He should win. The red flag with Sergio is anytime you go on Tapology and they got no age listed, you're like, okay, wait a minute here. Yeah, he's got a lot of fights. How old is this guy? I think Romero wins this. Again, it's a fight with no playoff implications. It's probably going to be Romero. I would say by decision. I just think going from fighting OAM, who you openly said was your hero, and the guy you modeled after and trained with when you were 17, to now fighting other guys, I think we're going to see a different animal out of this kid. And he's had a year and a half at this point to get better. So hopefully he has gotten better. A little worried about the canceled fights, but it's got to be Romero. But at 325, you're taking a risk with this guy.
We're getting ready to talk Dufort and Piccolotti. So now that we're getting into fights that really, really mean something here for the standings. Let's take a look here and see some of these guys. Got to understand the points that the guys have, because we have a very, very interesting situation with Sadibou Sy. We can take a look at light heavyweight. You got 5 guys at 6 points. 5 at 6 points. You were saying almost. All these guys are almost eliminated. How do any of these guys end up, jumping over him? And you were saying even Sadibou Sy, he's got to get a finish within like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And probably not going to happen. So walk us through what we see here with these, because it's really important to understand how the points work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially with this division. This is a murderer's row of a playoff picture here. This is the most competitive division, in my opinion, especially points-wise when you look at it. Look, we just saw these guys all fight, and man, were they some quick finishes. And I think there is a major talent disparity from the top of this division down to the bottom of this division. I mean, just really, really big, and that's why we saw these finishes. So, I mean, you got Wilkinson. He could probably lock himself in with a decision, but I think these guys are all going to have to go for a finish. So the scheduling, which we'll get to when we get to these fights, is going to have a huge effect, because Impa Kasaganai is the last light heavyweight of the night. He gets to sit back and find out what he needs. If he just needs a decision,
why put yourself in harm's way? Yeah,
you go for the quick finish, and if you don't get it, cue the wrestling.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Right?
It's a good point. So,
excuse me.
Yeah, lightweights are a little bit different. We got Dufort with 5, Collard with 5, Primus 5, and then we got Espinoza and Rabadanov with 3. Any takeaways on this one?
Well, same thing. We have Clay. Clay's going to close the night, so he's going to know exactly what he needs. Brett Primus and Dufort are going to go early. Espinoza is going to go. We're going to know exactly what Clay Collard needs here. Dufort is in the driver's seat, and I don't know how he is. The guy's not bad, and we'll get to him, but see him in first in this division is a major surprise. Major surprise. You got Brett Primus. He's pretty locked in there. I mean, it's going to take some quick finishes for some of these guys with 0 wins to get up into this playoff picture, and I think they're all going to go for it. That's probably going to lend us to some finishes, the fact that this is actually still up for grabs. So this could be exciting, man. I think this is going to be a real exciting card playoff-wise.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty bettable, too. So we can start getting into the fights. If you guys could, please do us a favor. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Tell us who you like on this card. Tell if you agree or disagree. But just leave us a little word. Let's say I think we used pontoon last week. We will go with glass. How about glass?
Nice.
If you guys can't come up with a great comment, just leave the word glass and hit the like button, please. Helps the algorithm out. Lets everyone know we're doing a good job for everybody. Okay, let's talk about Michael Dufort, Adam Piccolotti. Let's start with Piccolotti, who, not great against Elvin Espinoza. I went back and watched that fight. He was minus 6,000 at the time. He was dominating that one. And this goes into one of your theories about PFL, where you're like, that was a really bad knockout. This is a pretty quick turnaround. This is not a good sign for him, right?
No, it's just not a recipe for success. There's knockouts, and then there's prone, flat, just unconscious knockouts. And he got smoked by a knee in the 3rd round. On top of that, before the knee, it was a pretty grinding fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if besides the chin, there's some other little nagging injuries. With his amount of fights and his age, you have to believe that there's some wear and tear. at that point. He's most certainly past his prime, and I don't really believe Adam Piccolotti was ever a 5-star prospect to begin with. And watching him in Bellator throughout the years, he was always just kind of so-so. This Dufort kid's fresh. His ground game is way better than I thought it was. Full disclosure, I was on Mads Burnell against Piccolotti, or against Dufort. And, man, Burnell was looking good, and the second I saw him breakdancing in the cage, I knew we were absolutely dead. That was it. So, and Dufort did what he had to do. He got the finish. I think he's going to ground Piccolotti, and it's not going to take much to wobble that chin that was just absolutely cracked 2 months ago. So, like Dufort in this spot. He gets the finish. We're looking at 11 points, and he is sure in the driver's seat for number 1 seed, which is amazing to say.
Yeah, yeah. And Piccolotti, he did use his clinch to, and he was winning against Espinoza, who we'll get to. I thought he was winning until he wasn't, and you just got to wonder where the confidence and health is with him. So I think we're both in agreement on Dufort. Speaking of Elvin Espinoza and Rabadanov. Rabadanov, I believe, is a pretty big favorite here, despite Elvin Espinoza being 10-0. What's your take on this fight?
One of those O's has got to go. It's either going to be 11-0 or 10-1. You're not going to retire undefeated.
Nope.
It's that simple. And that's one thing that we love. When we get to 15-0, 13-0, look, law of averages just states you're going to lose. You're going to get caught. It's MMA. I like the skill set of him. Of Espinoza. I do. I just don't think he's fought anybody anywhere near the level of Gadzhi when it comes to the wrestling and the pace. Adam Piccolotti. Keone Diggs is a turtle on his back. You're supposed to win that fight. He should have finished that fight. I remember watching that and just begging for the finish, and he just couldn't get it. And now he's got to fight Gadzhi, who is just a decision machine, and he does it with wrestling. You look at the level of competition, way better, been around way longer, more experience. It could be just a veteran lesson. Now, the interesting thing is Gadzhi only has 3 points. That's not going to cut it. I don't know if 6 points is going to get you in these playoffs. So we could see him push heavy early. We could see him go for the finish late. I think he's just going to drown Espinoza. I don't think he has the technical skill set to get back up from being underneath Gadzhi. So give me Gadzhi probably by decision, but he's going to have to be hunting that finish come the 3rd round. He can't sit back and cruise to a decision.
Some of these fighters, we don't know if they understand the points or even care. We've seen some of these fights where just like, what are you doing? Do you even know the points? But make no mistake, Elvin Espinoza was losing big time, and Piccolotti was out wrestling him and clinching. That is not good when you're going up against Gadzhi. I mean, it's just difficult to try and pick Gadzhi by finish. Like, some of these guys are so disciplined in their training, and it's like, no, we don't go for early finishes just because of the format. We try and win, and the way we win is by the way we train, and so it's a tough one. So, yeah, Gadzhi's the obvious pick in that one, but that's a tough one to pick an under on for sure. So, Sadibou Sy and Tom Breese, man, if the last fight for Sadibou Sy goes any different, this fight is the reads on this fight are completely different.
Yeah.
Sadibou Sy, God, mathematically eliminated unless he runs over and gets an insane finish, which it is Tom Breese. There's
an outside chance he can get the 4th seed, but he's going to need a lot to go right. A lot to go right.
Yeah.
He's going to need, if we go up to light heavyweight, he's going to need Impa to lose. He's going to need Yagshimuradov to lose. He's going to need Silveira. And at that point, there's 2 spots open. He would probably lose the tiebreaker with Impa. So he needs 2 of these guys to straight up lose and get a finish within 30 seconds. So talk about
tough.
Back against the wall.
Yes.
So that makes me question what you do if you're Sadibou Sy. Look, you got to remember that these guys still get show money and win money. So even though they're out of the million, a win is still, again, do they get bonuses? We don't know. They don't really disclose if they give out bonuses. But it can't hurt to get a knockout, can it?
No. And, I mean, Sadibou Sy, it appears like he had the terrible weight cut against Magomed Kirimov. It looked bad. And then just the thumb injury to Josh Silveira is just absolutely wild how that happens. But guy was really good. There's nothing that changed with the skills. It's just the situation that is in his division. He's got the long legs. He's got the long striking. I think even though the fight against Silveira was only 1 minute, you could see exactly what was getting ready to happen if his thumb doesn't break. And then you got Tom Breese, who's just head case.
What was that word that we used for the chat? Glass.
Yeah, glass.
Somebody make a nice comment. We can say Tom Breese's glass chin. Because it was just cracked by Rob Wilkinson, again, 2 months ago. So that's why this fight is so interesting. Could Sadibou get a 30-second knockout? He damn well can. It's the question of whether he's going to try it or not. Because if he overextends, Tom Breese could end up on top of him. If this is on the feet, Sadibou is putting Tom Breese into orbit. It's coming. Yeah. Okay? It's a question of timing. So this fight not to go the distance is real interesting because what happens if Sadibou doesn't get the finish in round one? Does he care at that point? Is it just the adrenaline dump if Tom Breese gets the wrestling going? So this under, I think, is actually maybe better than just playing Sadibou. And Sadibou's creeping up to minus 200 at this point now. It's a different price than when it opened.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to Brent Primus and Solomon Renfro. There's just some guys that I'm just not a big fan of, and this is one of them. I'm out on Solomon Renfro. I don't see the skill set. I don't see the big upside. I'm just not 100% sure what he's great at. I've been told he's got great power, and it's like, okay, because he knocked out Al Swali, great, because he knocked out this guy, and then he just was completely outclassed in these PFL fights. So he's very, very raw, but he's got a lot of fights. So I'm going, well, how many fights till you really become really polished at a PFL challenger? So I think Primus this is a great matchup for him. I think he gets Renfro on the ground immediately and has his way with him. Renfro's just way too raw, and unless Renfro somehow catches him early on, that's Primus grinding away and probably gets the finish on the ground.
Solomon Renfro is just a fade, man. Look, this might not even be his natural weight class. I personally think he should be down 10 pounds. He should be a 145er. Brent Primus is a house in this weight class, okay? I think something's changed with Brent Primus. Now, I don't know what it is. If it's a mentality thing, if it's I felt disrespected with the purchase of Bellator, but man, Brent Primus has looked great. He looked fantastic in his first fight. Bruno Miranda's no chump. He's not a chump. And he made that fight look easy. I mean, easy. Strikings look better. His cardio was on point. Primus can get away with 3 points here and make the playoffs. But I wonder if this is kind of a statement here for Brent Primus. He's going to have Dufort's going to go first, probably get the finish. At that point, let's look at the matchups. You're going to have Clay Collard or Elvin Espinoza. Who do you want to fight first? So if he gets the finish and gets that number 2 seed, we don't know how the rest of the night's going to go. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Primus late round submission. We've seen Renfro gas, and I don't think he can keep up with Primus.
No, he doesn't have the cardio. Primus, no way. Primus, mind your P's and Q's for the first few minutes, and you should be good to go. So we've got a 5% PFL max best bet that is up, and all of our PFL plays for this week will be attached to that, as well as UFC plays. We already got 3 PFL plays locked and loaded, 2-0 last week, albeit a little bit lucky with the Liz Carmouche fiasco, but a win is a win. we've lost some in heartbreaking fashion. We win some in crazy fashion. Long term, it all kind of tends to even itself out. But love this play. It's a 5% max best bet over at wagertalk.com. Link is in the description. Do not miss out on the plays this week, guys. There are some really, really good plays on this card and the UFC card. So we expect another big week. We're number one at Wager Talk the last 11 weeks and a 5-1 run in PFL. So take advantage of that. It's just going to be a big, big week of MMA props. So let's keep moving on. Antonio Carlos Jr. and Alex Polizzi. What's your take on this one? I mean, Carlos Jr. just looked great against another guy who I'm not a big fan of, but I mean, there's no denying how good Carlos Jr. was. What's your take on this fight?
I think there's going to be a spot to fade Carlos Jr. In this tournament. It is most certainly not this week. Alex Polizzi has taken so much damage in the past 4 months. And let me explain to you why. Not only did Impa beat the snot out of him, just flattened him. And look, Impa's got this KO power, but this was a good shot by Impa. This was leveling. This all goes back to the Yoel Romero fight where his jaw was shattered by Yoel Romero. Had to take a lot of time off and get that healed. He comes back and loses to Karl Moore, but that Karl Moore fight, there really wasn't a whole lot of punches thrown. It was just an ugly touch-em-up fight. He faces a power puncher, and for a guy who's never been knocked out, all of a sudden he gets put out. Now you're going to give him Carlos Jr. On top of this, he's been the main training partner for Sean Strickland. In our lead-up
I love this
to the
theory.
last Strickland fight, they're interviewing Polizzi, and he's got 2 black eyes, his lips cut, and they're showing footage of Sean Strickland just beating the brakes off this guy daily. And we know what Sean Strickland does. I know he's not hitting
He beats
them
up
like a
YouTubers
fight.
and Alex Polizzi.
Whoever is who he beats up. You want to enter the gym, enjoy it. So I really wonder if he's coming in like 100%. I really, really wonder. So I think this is a layup for Carlos Jr. Again, we got the 6-point battle here. He probably is going to get this by submission. Pelosi's I don't think he's ever been submitted. This is probably his first submission loss in this fight.
Yeah, so we know he got knocked out twice and then a decision. The last one was a decision. So you're right. He's never been submitted. So
I think that streak comes to an end in this fight. It's probably going to be ACJ taking him down. We know ACJ gets to the back better than anybody. His grappling is off the charts. Undoubtedly the best grappler in this division. So big advantage for him there. Also, fight to not go the distance, because if you believe that Carlos Jr. is just getting a paycheck here, he already won the $1 million, he was a reality star, I think this fight ends. Polizzi could land a lucky shot and put his lights out. If not, it's going to be Junior by sub.
Yagshimuradov and Simon Biyong. I think it's Simon. Mm-hmm. Correct me if you want. Just keep lining them up with these guys I don't trust and don't like. I'm not high on his skill set. He got choked out by Carlos Jr. I went back and watched this Jose Augusto, and talk about yawn. I can't believe they didn't break him up. It was just sit against the fence, yawn, yawn, yawn. I'm going, what is the skill set here for this guy? So 9-4. 9-4 is not a good record to be fighting in the PFL. So, I know he got a couple wins in Bellator, but I don't find him entertaining. I don't find him intimidating at all. Again, this is one of those guys where I'm just not sure who could tell me what he does great. And I think Yagshimuradov just mauls him. The clinch work from this guy is so good. So I think if Biyong tries to clinch, he's going to be like, okay, let's do it. Let's get in close here, pal. What he did to Nadeau in his last fight, that was clinch. It's just a million uppercuts, like bang, bang, bang. So, just a couple of these guys in PFL that are just phase. I just don't see where this success comes from. So, I got Yags in an ass whooping. What say you?
Little worried about the cardio. So here's why. First of all, let's go to Simon Biyong. His win over Luke Trainer, which is probably the best win on his record right now.
Yeah.
That comes with a bit of an asterisk. That is not the Luke Trainer that we've seen today. That was Luke Trainer before he really embraced the grappling and everything. And if you look at that fight, yeah, he won. But Trainer put up a good fight. It's a decision. It is what it is. For the way this guy is talked up, he should be getting finishes on everybody. Okay, he's talked up like an absolute dominant striker. Yagzi.
Yeah.
His cardio concerns me. I've seen him hit. Now, he's one of these guys where on the feet he can look totally exhausted. And the second it hits the mat, his cardio looks fine. So really, that's what this whole fight is going to be about, in my opinion. It's going to be whether or not the takedowns happen. If the takedowns can't happen, Biyong's got a shot. He's got a shot. But I think the takedowns are going to happen. I think it's going to be very easy. He just has not shown the ability to even get up off his back once he's put down. So one takedown per round is going to lose him this fight. He's not going to be able to get up. It's that simple. Again, let's check where the points are sitting when we get to this fight. This could dictate our outcome. So it'll be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I got Yags in a big way here. So, all right, next fight: Rob Wilkinson and Josh Silveira. So, I want to. Have we ever seen a run of wins like this from Josh Silveira? Like, we seriously have to look at these. I mean, so he loses to Amari, beats Sam Key, who may be one of the worst PFL fighters to ever grace the PFL stage. Delon Monte injures his knee early in the fight. And Josh Silveira did nothing to cause that injury. It wasn't like he kicked his knee buckle. Like, Monte took a step back, twists his knee, and done. Okay, so then he fights Ty Flores. It's not even out of the first round, and Silveira's cardio is going, gone. You could just see that this fight is going to end terribly for him. And he throws a Hail Mary knee and ends it. And you and I were watching that, and we were like, if he doesn't land literally that one strike, he has absolutely no cardio left, and Ty Flores will going to take him down and lay on him for the rest of the fight. Sadibou Sy injures his thumb, and I've never seen a fighter quit that early off of a toe or, like whatever. He broke. I'm not saying he's weak or anything, but Sadibou Sy's thumb. I'm done. Okay, literally the one time that a fighter minded his P's and Q's, Ipa just kicked his ass for 5 rounds. Like Ipa just made a punching bag out of him, and I just cannot believe that Silveira is going to keep getting these. The Sadibou Sy, the Ty Flores, the Delon Monte, like your luck just runs out. So it just does. It's a matter of, this 13-2 is insane to me. So Wilkinson, he's a killer. Obviously, he gets Tom Breese out of there, and I mean, look, his last loss was to Adesanya. Yes. So I think it's Wilkinson. I think he mauls Silveira unless the MMA gods just love them some Josh Silveira and something weird happens to Wilkinson. But here's the thing. Like, I know Wilkinson may, he could only need to win or whatever, but I just think Silveira's cardio goes out so quick that the finish is going to be there. I know Wilkinson's not, he's not known for his cardio because his fights are over so fast, but I don't know why Wilkinson would change his style of fighting in this one. So, what do you think?
Wilkinson is on a mission. There's a level of pride, but the end of it, I don't think he cruises to a decision here. I think he wants that number 1 seed. He wants to be the guy again and prove everybody wrong. And I don't know if Josh can hold up to this. I really don't think he can hold up for 3 rounds. Impa could have finished Josh in their fight. He was in such control, he just cruised. He cruised. Yeah. I don't think Rob's going to cruise. He's going to go after him. Again, Silveira's going to need some kind of horseshoe to win this fight. We already know that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's Rob.
We have a Pitbull fighting on the card. You love Pitbulls, man. Fighting Bruno Miranda. What's your take on this one?
I missed the line. I missed the line on Miranda. He was plus 100, and I looked at it for 2 days, and now he's down to minus 115 favorite. So
It's not that bad.
it's not horrible. The 2 losses for him are on the ground, and not for nothing, they're not against too bad of guys here. I think the amount of damage that Pitbull took in that last fight is going to be a big problem. Big problem. Miranda has to be refreshed with the fact that he's not fighting a wrestler or a volume puncher. It's a power puncher. This fight is going to be a car crash. Both of these guys are going to walk to the center and throw until somebody falls down. This is my favorite under on the card. I think somebody gets served in this fight, probably in round 1. Miranda has really underrated leg kicks, and in watching Pitbull against Collard, I just thought he was very one-dimensional, even in his striking. You didn't see a lot of mix-up. It's just big swinging hooks. Miranda can mix up the leg kicks. He does have offensive wrestling if he wants it, but this is a huge age gap. It all points to Miranda for me. And I'm mad I missed the plus 100, but depending how the night's going leading up to this, I could find my way onto a Bruno Miranda by finish bet here because I think somebody's getting served in this fight.
I don't think you need to overthink it. I think the unders is the way to go. I mean, like if they are going to stand toe to toe, you brought up a good point. I mean, Pitbull. I mean, you want to talk about hitting a wall. I mean, in round 2, it was over. He was done. Mm-hmm. So what makes us think that after that performance just 2 months ago that he's going to be able to go to the distance with Miranda? I don't see it at all. So I think unders, and we don't need to overcomplicate that one. Impa Kasanganay and Jacob Neto again. What is it with these guys that like you find really hard to find anything super positive to say? I mean, Jacob Neto, I don't know what he's doing in this photo. Like, I mean, it looks like an action figure. So he got beat up really bad. Comes from PFL Europe. I don't know. His last fight was not a good look. I mean, he wasn't competitive from the very beginning, and then you got Impa, who's just like the rejuvenation, the Bryson DeChambeau almost, the equivalent. Seriously, these two share a lot of similarities. Like like just completely rejuvenated, new life, and Impa like losing a split decision against Johnny Eblen in a fight that even he knew he just blew it. But again, didn't absorb a lot of punishment. Looked great against Polizzi. Can you make a case for Jacob Neto? I can't.
He's going to have to get a knockout in the first 2 minutes of the fight. I don't think he's going to be on his feet for 2 minutes. If Impa's smart here, he gets his wrestling going. And on the ground, it's not even close. It is the largest disparity, perhaps, in this entire card, skill-wise, is the wrestling difference between the two of these guys. Impa wants the finish. He said it in his interview. He goes, I want the number 1 seed, I want the finish, and I want the title again. The guy is so locked in to how he trains, how he lives, how he thinks. He's big into just his meditation. He seems so relaxed and grounded. He's made PFL his home. He really has. And Neto is just contingent on the knockout. Again, this fight's going to be a car crash. There is no way that either of these guys is going to last 3 if the other person gets their game going. So I think this is a statement by Impa. He gets the finish probably in round 1. I really don't think it's getting out of round 1. I think there's that much of a disparity between him and Neto. So again, play the under if you want to play it safe. We always like Impa. Everyone knows at this channel we love Impa.
Yep. And I listen, guys. I know we're going over a lot of favorites. We like the favorites. So when we're done with this last fight, we'll go through and try and see if we can pick like a parlay buster or something because there's a couple. There's a couple on every card. But let's talk the most exciting athlete in God's creation. I'd say this every time. I've just never seen announcers fawn over somebody like the way the PFL announcers do Clay Collard. It defies description. I will never get it, but guys good fighter. Then you got going up against Mads Burnell. I'll let you take this one. You've had a good read on both these guys for the most part.
Yeah, I have. Both these guys have had a good read on. Mads Burnell bit me the last fight. But Clay Collard, I've really always had a good read on. I picked him against Shane Burgos, picked OAM over him, thought Collard could pull the upset. The A.J. McKee was a slam dunk.
You were
bet AJ
all
McKee on that
over
one.
that one.
I mean,
all
it was
over that one.
Just what a difference in competition having to fight A.J. McKee after you've been fighting Stevie Ray in the PFL. The Pitbull fight, that was a slam dunk for Collard. You knew the cardio was going to be a problem, the body work. This fight, I know they talk about it with Clay being exciting. This fight's going to be awesome. Awesome, awesome. You're going to see more body shots in this fight from both guys than you are the rest of the entire card put together. Both their boxing is fantastic. Love what I saw from Clay. Clay is working. God, is he motivated for this title. It's probably his last shot to win it at this point. He's been in the PFL forever. He's been in Bellator forever. Mads, I just don't know if this is his right weight class. I thought it was going to help him. He's a natural 145er, and he moved up, and I didn't think he looked great in this weight class. It's not really like he put on 10 pounds of muscle. He just isn't cutting weight. And then they cut to the previews, and Brunell's playing basketball, they're playing horse, and cut to Clay Collard, who's got a sled tied to him, and he's doing 100-yard sprints. This card, which we haven't talked about yet, is in Salt Lake City, Utah at Elevation. If you're going to give me volume and cardio on Clay Collard's side, I am betting Clay Collard 10 times out of 10.
Yeah,
I don't think that Brunell is going to get this to the ground. Clay Collard's been working diligently on his wrestling since he got subbed by McKee. It's one of his main things he's working on. I think it's Clay Collard, man. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets Brunell out of there. I think he's just going to melt him round 2, round 3.
All right, so let's do this. Let's try and pick any potential parlay busters. I think Tyler Santos by finish was the parlay buster last week, but it was gonna be Liz Carmouche. I mean, that was gonna wreck everybody. It was gonna wreck us and everything. So the parlay buster's got to be a bold call here. Who do you think, man?
Well, are we talking method too? Because we got to talk about method.
What's the play that everyone's gonna play?
I don't think there's a lot of action on the Sadibou fight. I haven't seen a lot on that. I think people are a little worried. Primus over Renfro, no problem. Dufort over Piccolotti, Romero, big parlay buster. I don't know, man. I think
this is hard.
Is it Yadzi?
Yeah.
Does it end up being a decision from Yadzi? He can't finish him. He gasses.
Okay.
That would be my.
It's a good one with cardio, especially Salt Lake City, a little bit in elevation. What if he wins the first round really confidently, but then starts to get tired and Biyong, who I don't think very highly of, kind of wins a very close second and third round. But it's gonna be there. Like there's gonna be one of these on the card.
There's always one.
There's always one. What if it's Tom Breese?
Could be.
What if Sadibou Sy is just not really that interested in this and is just kind of he comes out and just looks slow? Because we've seen him look like not up to potential. I'll go with Tom Breese with the upset of Sadibou Sy.
Look, he's going to come across that cage in 30 seconds, and if he does a flying knee and gets taken down and is on bottom for 4 minutes, he's probably not going to be too interested in the rest of that fight.
Okay, that's a good one. So, all right, we'll go Tom Breese. We agree with that everyone's going to bet on Sadibou Sy. We know money's come in on it.
Yeah, so. People are going to bet Sy. Nobody's going to bet Tom Breese.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. All right.
The by finish buster, I have a feeling that we could see
Wilkinson?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
What if Wilkinson? Yeah, what if
Wilkinson? Well, it could be Impa. It could be Impa as well. If Impa wants to wrestle and Neto can take care. If Impa just needs 3 points to get the number 1 seed at the end of the night, then we could see everybody who's got Impa by finish worried. Now, if Impa needs 6 to get number 1, be darn
okay.
sure we're betting Impa by finish.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. So, all right, so we'll go Tom Breese to upset Sadibou Sy as the parlay buster, and then based on the points, if Impa doesn't need a finish, everyone's holding their Impa by finish ticket is scared. So those are your parlay busters. Try to pick some big ones. Again, guys, please hit the like button, leave us a comment, and as always, thanks for joining us here. Don't forget to get that 5% max bet. Comes with all the PFL plays and UFC plays. Nobody's been better the last 11 weeks at Wager Talk than us, and certainly in PFL. It's been a great season, and this card should be no different. Looking forward to locking up all those profits. So thanks for joining us. Good luck on all your plays, and we'll see everyone on the UFC breakdown video.
Good luck, guys.